My name is Jeff Cameron, and on behalf of our team at RDIEC, we would like to welcome Mr. Doug Sully. Mr. Doug Sully is a longtime English teacher in the Southeast Cornerstone School Division, and he's about to retire here in a few months. And Mr. Sully started his own company quite a while back. It's called Freeze Frame Photography. He's here today to talk to us about the inner workings and taking pictures. And believe me, he has a very keen eye, and it takes a special talent to recognize some of these pictures that he has set up for us. I'd just like to mention something here before we start, that after this presentation, please complete the survey on our website, either by using the QR code or go to www.rdiec.ca. And this is for the students out there. And by completing the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win a $50 gift card. All right, Mr. Sully, thank you so much for joining us today, and take her away. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Mr. Cameron and I have known each other for many years. He was a coach for my daughter's ball team, and I have taken many pictures for him over the years as well. And Jeff, if you get a keen eye there, there's one of your pictures of one of your daughters in this video as well. So that keep an eye out for that. Yeah, my name is Doug Sully. I'm based out of Oxbow, Saskatchewan, which is just 60 kilometers east of Estevan, the southeast corner here. I started freeze frame photography back in 2012. Okay, it's kind of I've always been interested in photography, and I've taken pictures most of my life. But then I started to realize that I kind of had a knack for some of the things that a person has to have an eye for to become a good photographer. And of course, I've been improving over the years as much as I possibly can. So I'm just going to go like this. And so I'm a sole proprietor business. Okay. So we have what that essentially means is that I'm by myself. Okay. So one of the things I'm planning on doing when I go full time is I want to get myself an editor, like an actual picture editor, so I can just go out and actually take the pictures and get someone else to work on the editing afterward. Because that's, if you're going into photography, taking the pictures is easy, all right? Getting them to be the pictures that you want to do with the editing and the post, production values and those kind of things, that's what often takes the time. So just keep that in the back of your mind there. As I said before, I formed my company in 2012. The focus of my company, when I first started, I kind of did everything, but I kind of narrowed it down to sports and business / website photography. I started in sports, and that's where I did a lot of my daughter's, volleyball pictures, softball pictures, curling, figure skating, whatever else. And then I kind of expanded into the business one as well. I'm going to show you a video in a few minutes here, and then I'm going to kind of talk you through the video. I'm going to turn the sound down, and I'll kind of talk about some of the things that I'll be talking about in the video, and we'll go from there. So, yeah, to do too many types of photography oftentimes is kind of overwhelming, and that's why sometimes most people will narrow it to what it is they want to do. I don't do weddings. I don't really want to deal with crazy bridezillas and mother and father-in-laws and things like that. I want to kind of keep my weekends free as much as I can. And I'm not really comfortable doing infant photography and those kind of things. I do lots of family shoots and grads and events and things like that. But those are the two areas that I just don't want to do. So if you're wondering, if I become a photographer, I got to do everything. No, you don't. Okay. A good rule of thumb, if you don't feel comfortable doing it, you shouldn't do it, because it'll be reflective in the photos that you actually take. Just like when I tell people in a family shoot or whatever else, I said, pretend the camera's not there, or just act naturally, because the camera picks up if you're all nervous and those kind of things. Okay. A quick story here. I've always enjoyed this photo here. This is by Hirsch, Saskatchewan, which is in between Oxbow and Estevan. And that is I was monitoring some mallards, and every time I kind of went by, I said, I want to get some pictures of these mallards here and these ducks. And they kept flying away. So what I did is I had my camera ready. I was driving down the highway, rolled down my window, and basically pulled over. And as soon as I pulled over, the ducks went flying. And I just had my camera, and I took about 50 or 60 shots, rapid fire shots kind of idea. And this beauty came out of that. So when you do photography, you don't have to do digital and things like that now. you don't have to be really, picky on what take as many pictures as you can. Rule of thumb is 1 in 10 pictures actually makes the cut. All right, if you're doing it properly. So if you're taking 100 pictures, 10 might be good. Okay, so keep that in the back of your mind. All right, next we have, I'm just going to show you a few of my pictures that I've done in the past here. This picture here with the airplanes, that was at an Estevan Air Show, and that basically what's happening there, these planes are going by about 250 miles an hour. They're old World War I fighter jets. And I had my camera set up so exactly we can just freeze, and that's the reason why I call it freeze frame photography, so I can freeze the action kind of thing. So if you actually go into this particular plane, you can actually see the pilot's face and everything. So I was very happy with that. And of course, with the sports pictures and things like that, it's always nice to get that kind of frozen kind of, gravel coming up and those kind of things. And, dance here, like you can get that nice little, and this is an example of a Photoshop picture, right? So the back here was all a stage and things like that. So I just kind of cut this young lady out here and just put it black. So the black background really brings out the colors, right? So that's kind of how you do things. This picture here, I actually won a national photo contest, all right? I won $500 for Our Canada magazine. So you can make a little bit of money, besides just being a photographer in contests and those kind of things. And the publications are willing to pay for your photos and those kind of things as well. Then we have, this is the color run that I did in Estevan here for cancer. And the organizer said, can you get a nice shot of them throwing up the powder at the end of the race? And I got this picture, which I was pretty happy with as well. So the next slide here, and this, again, sports and things like that. So, indoor sports are a lot different than outdoor sports and things like that. So you have to make those kind of adjustments. I actually won a Estevan contest last year for the squirrel. I actually built this squirrel table, and the squirrel in my backyard did this, and I won a picture for that. This owl was actually in a tree across the, so I always have your camera with you. Okay, when I commute back and forth from Oxbow every day to Estevan, I always carry my camera, and I've got some great pictures over the years, right? So that's kind of the things that you want to do. And you get to some really nice shots here, like, nice little tender shots. And these are two brothers, and I just, the mom was behind me, and she said, hey, give your brother a hug. And that's, so some of these spontaneous ones really work as well. CAA has used this one before, and this is my daughter. I did her grad pictures in 2011. And that's a big flood of 2011 back there. So these are ball diamonds. And that's still one of my favorite pictures because everyone likes that picture because I remember the flood of 2011. I said, yeah, that's, so that even the dugouts, the tops of the dugouts were underwater type of ice. That's how much water there was there. So that's kind of neat. And then of course you have, again, those spontaneous types of things that happen there. This picture here, James Irving, one of my fellow teachers, he did his 8th CD. He wanted me to, it's called Dead Reckoning, and he wanted me to do the cover art for his CD, which is kind of cool. I never had my picture on an album before or whatever else. And he's planning on doing it in vinyl, so I want to make sure I get the big vinyl one as well. And of course, back to the photoshopping and things like that, I cut this young lady out, and I actually put a different background in because the background I didn't really like. So there's lots of cool things you can do with photos. It's just not taking the pictures, but like photo editing can also do a lot of things. A little bit of video problem here. So I'm going to start a video here, and I'll be talking it and whatever else, but I'm going to do the background information here for you. Okay. So we're going to get a quick start on it. Nope. Sorry, ones and things like that. I know the barrel racing, they're coming around, the swimming when they come up like that. So I'm your knowledge of what you're looking at, and you're actually taking photos of, is half the battle right there. Taking pictures is fine, but you got to know the angle. You got to know how close you can get, how far you should get. And there's also composition too. The Wade Catello, my art teacher here, I often talk to him, and he talks about competition. That buffalo picture was the one that I just talked about. It was a national photo contest there. And yeah, he says that, the whole idea of foreground, middle ground, background, those kind of things is important. I got a buddy in Oxbow that I do some aerial stuff with. So you're always making contacts, okay, with people that are important, towards your company. As I said before, Fine Lifestyles magazine, I started working with them. And it was I did multiple shoots. As you can see, I did 4 cover shoots for that. which I thought was kind of pretty cool because all of a sudden your picture's on the cover of a magazine. Yeah, so that's kind of where, you know, it's important to understand that, you know, all the things that the opportunities that you don't get when you're not a photographer, right? So these are some of the video things that I do with Jeff here. I've been in a helicopter like 4 times, taking pictures out of a helicopter, which I never would have done if I didn't start this company kind of idea. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, and then we do a lot of, you know, these are our infomercials and those kind of things. And yeah, I'm a people person too. Like, you know, I've been a teacher for 3 decades. So yeah, it's nice to talk to people and get them going. And we're doing like sports videos and things like that, especially with COVID. A lot of people can't get, you know, see people in, you know, managers and coaches and those kind of things in person. Yeah, and these pictures are just kind of showing some of the different things that I've done. I never shy away from anything if I can, right? And I still do weddings every so often if I, you know, use it for family and those kind of things. And then finally, I've started this. I got a couple of these machines. They're about $1,500 each, and I'm getting into digital reproductions and those kind of things, right? So during COVID, my mom had passed away in June. And just before she passed away last year, we had three months to kind of do some things. And during that time, I took all her old pictures, put them up on digital. So my brothers are, you know, have all the pictures from when we were growing up and those kind of things. And I also took all my pictures of my own girls. I have 2 daughters and those kind of things. Yeah, so we've, it's a good thing. And I've got a few clients doing that because everyone hates going through the old, you know, the old photo albums and things like that. So you can do like 1,000 pictures in about 5 minutes. It's a really cool machine, right? Yeah, so that's what I mean by diversifying and you know, getting those kind of things going. Finally, and I always have like a little catchphrase there, capturing all of life's moments. That's the motto of my company. And yeah, you know, Gmail and numbers and all those kind of things. It's and the nice thing I like about the photography too, and I'm really going to enjoy it when I'm full time. You can kind of pick and choose when you work, right? Like I don't usually turn too many shoots down, but you know, if a person says, "Can we do it Friday?" I say, "You know what? I'm busy Friday. Let's do it Saturday." So there's lots of freedom that you can have in what you do. So that's kind of the you know, the basic idea behind my company. And I'm just going to put back the volume here. And yeah, that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Once I'm done with school, then like I said, I'll have the full-time ability to do the things that I want to do. I'm very unlikely that I'm going to sub or go back into teaching in any way, shape, or form. Three decades is long enough to be with, and I'm ending off on a very positive note. Great 12 class I have and things like that. I'm actually doing 7 or 8 grad shoots in the class because they kind of like me as a teacher, so they thought it would be cool to do the grad photos with them as well. So yeah, that's kind of my story.
Well, thank you very much, Doug. It was wonderful pictures and wonderful descriptions of everything. I just wondered, for all the kids out there, if there's some kids interested in starting something, getting into photography and with the cameras, what are some of the things that they need to have to get going?
All right. So a couple things, like a lot of people think, oh, it's way too expensive to get into photography. Not really. A lot of people tell me, oh, you take great pictures because you have great equipment. That's kind of like saying Jimi Hendrix was a really good guitar player because he had a really expensive guitar, right? So you got to learn the basics, right? Which is, you know, the basics of photography is the photography triangle. And I should have probably created a slide like that. But there's aperture, there's ISO, and there's shutter speed, okay? And you manipulate those 3 things in a triangle. So like, for example, Jeff and I have, I've taken many pictures for Jeff with volleyball and baseball or softball, for example. So softball, you can have a low ISO, which essentially means that you can have, because there's lots of light, right? Shutter speed, you can have a high shutter speed because there's light, but the actual Sorry, the ISO is low because of the shutter, and then shutter speed goes up kind of idea. Inside, you have to have a higher ISO with a lower shutter speed. If you don't really know those terms yet, go to the photography triangle and learn that first, right? You can take pictures with almost anything. I started off with I'm a Canon guy for the most part, and I started off with a T1i or T2i or something like that. Now I have a 7D, and I don't even have a full frame camera yet, right? That's my next purchase. But I have a 7D and a 70D, and I use my 70D Canon camera for mostly sports and nature and things like that. I use my 7D because it has a better video on it for our videos and more specific portrait and graduation photography. Okay, so you can just get yourself a camera and play, right? Just take pictures of anything. I have a thing, it's called, I go on every week, it's called Digital Photography School, DPS. And if you go on that website, they will send you new photography things every week. And I've done that, and I've had that for 8 years now. And what I've done is I say, oh, that's kind of interesting. But then you get overwhelmed. You get busy with life and things like that. So what I did is I started a little bookmark thing on my computer. And I said, okay, here's portraits, here's landscape, here's sports, here's whatever. And then whenever they come up, I kind of put them in there. And when I have time, I go, hey, I'm going to do some water photography. Like when they drop water in a glass, whatever, and the thing comes up and you can free, there's lots of different things you can do. But you got to start with a camera, and you have to be adventurous, and you have to be inventive. Okay, just taking a picture like this all the time, don't do that. Get down on the ground, get high up, do a lot of different things, and you'd be amazed some of the pictures that you can take. My first pictures, were they awesome? No, not really, as compared to the ones I'm doing now. But that's like, I'm a better teacher now than I was when I was, in my first couple of years of teaching, right? So it's, practice, right? And always have your camera with you. I always carry some kind of camera. And also your phone camera, they're really good. But get yourself an iPod tripod, a phone tripod, because that's what I do is if I don't bring my camera, I have a little tripod when I see a nice sunrise or sunset when I'm driving into work. I stop on the side of the road, I set up a tripod, and I just take a few shots on my iPhone. They're very good, and they have lots of pixels and things like that. The last thing too, don't on your settings on your camera, there's a small, there's a medium, there's a large, and there's a RAW. Okay, always shoot in RAW. Okay, because RAW is the maximum amount of pixels, which means that you can manipulate them in photo editing afterward. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to do a small so I can put more pictures on the, yeah, but if you get like an 8 gig card or a 16 gig card, you're not going to fill it up anyway. You're not taking that many pictures. So always shoot on RAW. So let's say, for example, you have, oh, that's kind of dark. You'd be amazed what you can do in photo editing afterward. Okay. And yeah, it cost me for Photoshop, cost me $11 a month through Adobe. That's nothing, right? And then you have all those Photoshop tools at your disposal. That's kind of cool too.
Oh, great answer, Doug. I think that's why you're such a great teacher also, just the way you explain that. Just for the students, when you mentioned the digital, I was looking on USA Today and just read on the online version once in a while on the news, and there was a picture made up of, it was kind of pertaining to global warming with some towers, some city towers and that in the background, and a huge sun that was kind of burning the earth. And I could be wrong, but I think it sold online and it was just made up digitally for 65 million. They started the bidding. So
yeah. So sorry, Jeff. It's called stock photography. So basically, you can make a lot of money doing that as well. Okay. So if you have a picture, and just so you know, folks, I do a little thing in my class. I have a picture that a raw picture, and then I had an edited picture, right? And I use it as a analogy to plagiarism, right? And I say, see this raw picture here, all right? So if you take that picture and you Photoshop it, that picture is yours now, right? The kid goes, yeah, no, it's not, because you didn't take the original picture type of idea. So you like that when I was doing Fine Lifestyle magazines and things like that. So if they paid me like $100 for the shoot, and then the company came back and said, hey, we really like this picture, and this picture. Could we get those pictures? And I said, for sure, but you're going to pay for them. because they're my pictures. So a lot of times I could get money for the shoot and also money for the stock photography afterward that they wanted. Now, I'm not getting $65 million, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's opportunities for that as well if you're taking really nice pictures.
Yes. Well, thank you for taking time, Doug, from your busy schedule for us here, and just unbelievable photos and pictures. And I'll just
sorry, Jeff, I should say too.
Gord, have any questions? Sorry.
I was going to say too, these are my daughters. So one of the things you want to do with photography too is start out with your family, start out with your pets, start out with, like, you know, if you don't have people that want to, you know, get pictures taken of them, oftentimes family will be supportive and all those kind of things too. That's what you got to kind of do to get your brand kind of out there, right? So sorry about that. I just want to make sure that they understood that.
Yeah, well, I'll just leave it for anyone else that had questions. And if not, thank you so much for today, Doug. It was excellent.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.